Welcome to Sensational Living with Liliana. I hope you guys have had an absolutely phenomenal week. It's the weekend again. It's amazing how quickly it goes from Monday to Monday. But the nice thing about it is the weather is becoming so extraordinary and it's giving us many opportunities to get out in nature and connect. I love Fridays because Friday is a day where I get to really spend time on myself, go to the gym, have a great day, go and shop for all these wonderful ingredients that we're going to have today, and just spend time really putting a lot of love into making this wonderful recipe for you today. So we're going to have an Asian style meal. There's a lot of little ingredients when it comes to Asian food. Really, this is going to be more of a Thai twist. And so don't get afraid by the long list of ingredients, because honestly we're going to be using the same ingredients pretty much throughout the entire recipe. So you won't have to have multiples of everything, just kind of a lot of little the same ones. So we're going to start off making the sauce. Now the marinade, so usually I try to keep my shows in regardless to time to make things, 30 to 40 minutes in preparation, but honestly you'll do yourself a world of good if you prepare the marinade a day in advance, and actually marinate the chicken a day in advance, so it really picks up the wonderful savory flavors of this dish. So I've already done that, but I'm going to make the sauce so that you can see how easy it actually is. So we're going to start over here with the Cuisinart. Now you can do a high-speed blender. I have both because I'm going to make a peanut sauce and also an Asian salad dressing. And so always my goal is to have greens with whatever I eat, even Asian style. So oftentimes most of the Asian food is pretty much cooked, sauteed. So it's nice to have something live as well. And since we are going to have meat, those nice raw ingredients, salads, help with that chlorophyll, just to kind of help balance out any of the amines that we get with our cooked food. So let's start over here. We've got a lot of little ingredients, so I'm just going to bring them all over there one at a time. Now I've got some shallots here. So these were like extraordinary shallots when I got them this morning. They were big elephant shallots. So honestly, we're going to want to have approximately about a cup. We're going to be putting this in the Cuisinart, so you don't need to chop it up much. We're just going to do it just chunky style. So I'm just going to set that over there. Now, the thing that I want to tell you about chili, honestly, it's better to put some gloves on because the chili will end up in your eyes and you will not like it. No matter what, it never ceases to amaze me that I'll end up somehow with chili in my eyes and I have to get a shot glass because I have chili on my eyes and then dip it up, so it's no fun. So I would suggest that when you work with chili, put some gloves on. It'll make it a lot easier. So I've got some garlics and I've got some Serrano chilies in here, so I'm just going to add that over there. Now I've got a couple little things here. Now one of the things is that we try to keep this a very low carbohydrate. So I started studying in regards of, as you might know if you've ever made Thai food, they use a lot of sugar in almost all the dishes because they're trying to balance out that salty with the sweet. Just like the chemistry our body always likes. When we eat something salty, we want something sweet. So it kind of goes back and forth. But as far as the carbohydrates are concerned, I don't use honey with any of this because it's 17 carbohydrates per tablespoon. So I've got some coconut sugar, and it's about 4 carbohydrates. So xylitol is the same thing, except for it gives a slightly, I don't like the taste. It's kind of almost like our artificial sweetener. So the coconut sugar is really nice, and we're not going to use much, but we just want to balance it out nicely. So I'm going to set that down there as well. And then you've got to have some wonderful lemongrass. Now, the lemongrass, you want to peel the stalk off of these, and then it's hard, it's not going to get soft, and you're going to just chop it into little pieces like this. Again, we don't need to chop it up really fine because we are going to put it into the Cuisinart, so I'm going to go ahead and set that there as well. Make sure I don't forget any ingredients because I'm pretty famous for doing that sometimes. And I got a lot of little components here. So, alright, we're going to have fun though. Alrighty, so let's see what else I need for this. I think I am good on all that. I need a little fish sauce, which is over there. And I think we're ready to rock and roll. Alright, so you guys are going to have to forgive me for the sound because it's impossible not to make any sound when you are using a Cuisinart. So let's go over here. Okay. So let's go ahead and add these shallots. Now, the same marinade that I used for the chicken, I'm also going to use it to make the satay sauce. Now normally you would be having a peanut sauce, but we don't do peanut in this household because peanut is more of a bean and has a lot of anaphylaxins on it. So we try to keep anything that has any fungal on it out of our diet. So you won't even be able to tell the difference between the almond and the peanut, I promise you. So let's go ahead and add approximate. Now, how I've set the recipe up is I listed all the ingredients. And so if you're gonna make the chicken and the marinade ahead of time, what I've done in the directions is that I've divided it, but it's the same ingredients. So that way you can have it fresh the next day, but I've divided it so you can marinate the night before, then the next day you can make another really fresh aromatic flavor, because herbs are the best when they are fresh. But again, if you're using it all in the same day, which means that maybe you're gonna marinate it 4 hours ahead of time, because you wanna have the chicken in the marinade for at least 4 hours so that it really picks up the flavor. So if that's the case, you can put all of this together and just split it in half. Half will be for the sauté sauce, and then the other half can be for the chicken marinade. So we've got that in there. Now, just depending on how hot you like it, I'm gonna start off with just a couple of chilies here. Now, I've julienned them because I'm going to be utilizing the julienne for the green beans as well. So I'm just going to drop approximately 1 whole chili in there, and of course I can always add more. I'm going to taste this as well. So depending to your taste in terms of how hot you like things. I don't like it too hot because then I really can't taste all the flavors of it. Just hot enough so that it kind of pulls back in your throat and you get all the aroma of it, but not so hot that you got to drink a lot of water with it. So we're not doing that. 2 garlics, let's put that in there as well. We're going to put the lemongrass in here, and so approximately it's going to be about a tablespoon of lemongrass. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop that in. Okay. I'm going to put a tablespoon of coriander, and this is great. I'm going to put a teaspoon of cumin. I'm going to put a tablespoon of the coconut sugar. I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of the nam plau, which is a Thai fish sauce. Okay, let's start with that. I'm going to add water to this as well, just so our intent here is just to create a nice paste, and so we want to get it as creamy as possible, because this one in particular is going to go into the sauté, so I want it really creamy. I don't want that lemongrass to have any kind of, excessive fiber, because we don't want people pulling things out of their mouth. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this on, so close your ears if you don't want to hear it. Drop some water. You're going to want to scrape down the sides as well. And again, you really want to get this as creamy as possible. And I'm going to go ahead and add 2 tablespoons of water. Now, I know one thing I need. Paul, Paul, could you go over to the refrigerator, or Bill, and grab me the coconut milk that is in the jar? See, got helpers here today. It's awesome. Got all my buds here. It's awesome. So the one that's in the mason jar, do you see it there? Or do I? Oh, no, you know what? I already have it out there. If you could just grab it to me, that would be great. The magical hands make it disappear. I love it. So again, you just kind of want to scrape down the sides because you don't want this chunky. You really want it smooth. So I'm going to add a little bit of coconut milk to this as well. But I'm going to put it on low. So I had it on high. Again, when you don't have that much contents in the Cuisinart, it kind of like the blade doesn't really get to it. So you've got to be a little patient here to really get it nice and creamy. I'm going to put it on low for a few minutes. should probably be careful to sticking my nose and eyes in there because little flakes of chili could definitely pop up. Okay, let's have a look at that now. Okay, so now it looks pretty good. Whew, just putting my face in there, my eyes start to go. It really reminds me though, because when we were all growing up, my mother would can chili. And we'd wake up with our eyes burning. That's how we woke up, right? And it was just like, oh man, she's making chili again. And she'd can it and we'd have it for the whole year. And it was fantastic. But boy, did we hate the smell of chili. That got us out of bed really early and outside. So I guess it was a good thing. Now, you want to have the thick coconut cream. You don't want to have the light. You want to have all of the good calories and all the thickness and luxury of this. Now, I just basically took a can of organic, thick coconut cream, and I don't want the chunk part of it unless I'm going to heat it up, which is great, but leave it out for a little while if you have it in the refrigerator, and then that way it doesn't get too hard. But I'm just going to use the liquid itself. So I'm going to use 2 tablespoons, and then I'll be adding more of this, you know, as I see fit for the peanut sauce, because you don't want to over thick peanut sauce. You want it so that it's just nice and creamy and goes onto those chicken sautés. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, let's get this another whirl. So, you know, you really got to give a lot of credit to the Asians because they're so meticulous with their food. So many different little ingredients and, you know, mortars and pastes. And so I love it because a lot of not only flavor, but a lot of love goes into their food. When I was living in Asia for 3 months, it was wonderful because really, honestly, I woke up every day with the mindset of what am I going to eat today? And it was fantastic because this was probably about, let's see, my daughter's 27, so it was before she was born. And it was really cool because, you know, I could go back into the kitchen and the chefs would let me sit and watch them cook, and it was just fabulous. I doubt that they'd let me do that now, but back then I think they were just very curious about having foreigners in their restaurant. So it was a lot of fun. I learned so much. So I think that should be pretty darn good. And again, this is going to be the sauce for the peanut sauce. So for the chicken satay, you do want it as creamy as this, but again, for the satay, you want it extra creamy because when it's on the chicken, you're just going to get the flavor of it. It can be a little chunky, who cares? But when it goes into the peanut sauce, you want it to be really smooth. So I think we're looking pretty good on that. I'm going to give it a little taste and see how we're going with it. Still a little fibrous, so I'm going to add just a tiny bit more. I'm going to spin it a little bit more. This is the tedious part, so be patient. Don't try to be in a rush. Never be in a rush when you're cooking because honestly, you'll be under cortisol. And if you're under cortisol, that means you're going to be under stress, which means that you really won't put the good vibes in your food. So you want to be relaxed. You want to have music on. You want to create an atmosphere. It's got to be fun. So you can kind of see that it's a nice little paste there. And I'm looking here, and if there's a few little fibers in there, who cares? It's going to be all organic, wonderful, and you'll enjoy it. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it just like that. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and put it in here. Now at this point, I would use this to go ahead and put onto the marinade. Now, in the marinade, I would put 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Since this is going to go into the satay sauce, the only thing different here is I would add a little bit of olive oil to the chicken marinade. But that's it. Otherwise, it's exactly the same. So honestly, if you wanted to make the double amount, just take half for the satay and half for the chicken. That's no problem either. All right. Let's get this here. So at this point, I would just put a little teeny bit of salt in here. I'm not as well with a tablespoon of olive oil. You can kind of get a taste to it. The fish sauce is very salty, so you don't want to overdo it. But if you feel like it needs just a tad, you could go ahead and do that. Just now remember, the marinade itself is going to sit for hours. So when you taste it at first, you might not get all of the aroma, but then it'll pick up. So I always would rather put a little teeny bit of salt on afterwards rather than put too much in the first place. Okay. Excellent. So as you can see here, this is my chicken that has been marinating for 4 hours. And honestly, overnight, it's even more awesome. Now what you want to do is you want to take your wooden skewers, or if you have metal ones, you won't need to do this. But you're going to want to soak them for at least 20 to 30 minutes prior to skewering the meat onto that. And then you just dry them off. So now I would have put it on there, I would have just kind of swished it all up and I would have let it sit there, but we're going to save that for the saute. The chili gets to me. Now I can taste it in my mouth. Okay, I'm going to just wash my hands here and we're going to thread these up. Now the thing about this chicken, I was going to save a chicken breast so that I could show you, but I got so excited kind of cutting everything and putting it all together. I thought, oh my goodness, I cut my last chicken breast. So honestly, you want to have them, I cut it just kind of on the diagonal of the chicken breast, and you don't want to cut it too thick. You want to cut it pretty thin. So that's kind of like a 1/4 of an inch. That way it cooks really nice and quickly. And honestly, you can eat these cold as well. They're great to take to on a beach, to the picnic, as well as warm. So you don't want, if some of them are too big, just cut them in half. So when you're slicing it, once you get towards the middle of the breast, it's going to be a lot wider. So once you do that, just again cut it in half so that you can have pieces that are easy to thread. And so since today we're using this as the main course, I'm going to thread quite a few on there. Now you see this piece right here? This is a perfect example. This is too big, so I would just cut that in half so that it, like all the rest of them, we've got some symmetry, but it's kind of not folded and hanging up all over the edge. So we will do that on that. Now, if I were making these for an hors d'oeuvre, I'd probably only put 3 on there, and then that way, people can just kind of, pull them off and enjoy them. But since we are going to use this as a main course today, I'm going to go ahead and thread at least 6 of them on there, and I'm going to keep them relatively flat so that when they go on the grill, they cook evenly. So you see, it's not too difficult, but it's just a little labor intensive, so don't be in a hurry when you're trying to do this. Like I said, put some good music on. Have your friends over like I've got today. Have a good conversation. They're being nice and quiet though because they don't want to have you hear their voices. But I told them if they want to ask me any questions during this episode that they're more than free to do so. So then you kind of just want to flatten it out a little bit. So there we go. I'm just going to leave those there for now because we've got a lot of stuff to do. I want to also make a nice Asian salad dressing. I was not going to feature it, and I thought, well, I've got my friends over, we're going to have dinner, so I might as well make it part of the show as well. So I'm going to go ahead and set these aside. We're not going to do all of them at this very moment. Because we're going to eat a little later, so we don't need to cook them all. We want them nice and fresh. So I'm just going to set those over there. Okay. Let's start with this lovely peanut sauce. Now, again, I don't do peanuts, so actually it's almond, so I'm so used to saying peanut. So you're going to want to have about 1/4 of, actually, you know what, I'm going to start with putting a little teeny bit of chili in there. I'm going to saute this a little bit. Actually, I need some garlic. Oh no, I don't need that. It's already on there. You see how quickly I can forget? We've mixed it all up already. Okay. So I'm going to put, actually, I'm going to go ahead and, you see, when I'm doing the show, it's kind of like, I start getting all these ideas. Should I do it this way? Should I do it that way? So actually, we're going to start by cooking this down a little bit. And really not much. I'm just going to heat this up a bit.
Liliana, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
How many will this feed? This recipe right here that you're doing will feed how many?
Yeah, there's 4 chicken breasts, and so it should feed 6. I would say 6 would be probably good.
And this is a boneless chicken breast?
So it is a boneless, skinless, organic chicken breast. Thank you for asking. It's on the recipe, but you know, sometimes, like I say, I get excited and I forget to say some of the main things there. So we're going to just heat that up a little bit. Now, I am going to add a little teeny bit of coconut milk to it. Danny, can you hand me that coconut milk there? That's great. Perfect. I mean, that's what's nice about this is once you get all of these ingredients blended, it's all there for you to just kind of whip it together very nicely. And obviously, you're going to add the texture, you're going to add more almond milk according to your texture, but I'm just going to just start right now before I add the almond milk. Now the thing about almond butter is that you don't want to overheat it because then the oil separates. So you have to be careful, so just keep it on low. So I'm going to just get this in here for now, and there's some little chunks that float there, but they'll be nice and dissolved. Now, I wanted to get some tamarindo sauce, which is awesome in this, but instead, I didn't get it in time. My husband was going to pick it up for me, but he's out painting. He said, oh, I won't get back in time. And I said, all right, no worries, we'll improvise, and we're going to use lime juice. So you can use both lime juice or the tamarindo sauce, which is a tamarind pod. They have it in paste. Usually in a lot of ethnic stores you would find that. If it comes in the seed, you can just de-seed it, put it in with a little bit of water, throw it in the blender, and you can have a paste. Otherwise, sometimes it does come with the paste there. So I'm going to turn this down. I'm going to go ahead and add 2 heaping, well, maybe a little bit more, 2 heaping tablespoons of the almond sauce. And it goes a long way, honestly, because I don't like it too thick. So I've turned it down on low now. Looks kind of strange, but I guarantee it's phenomenal. It was really fun today when I was in class. I had an epiphany, and I was riding away on the bike, and I was feeling really good. And I hadn't worked out for 2 days because I had early start, and one night I didn't get a good night's sleep, so I didn't push myself. I listened to my body, and I said, okay, you don't need to have to do it. So it's really important to not feel so fanatic about things in life and to be more relaxed about them. And so what was really cool is when I got on the bike and I started going, and you know, it's really nice when you've got a coach because you work a lot harder. And so I was going away and I thought, God, I feel really strong. I feel really good. And I thought, what's different? What's different is I had 2 days of doing no exercise at all. So doing too much exercise is not good because you don't recover. And then I started thinking, that's the way life is, isn't it? Is that when we don't take time to recover, we are not as strong in the things that we want to do. And oftentimes we maladapt because we don't pay attention to our body telling us it's time to rest, it's time to recover, and then we end up in a situation where our sympathetic nervous system is working overtime, and with disease and autoimmune issues or fatigue, adrenal dysfunction. So I really encourage all of you to really pay attention to how you feel. And when is it time to rest? When is it time to just come home, put your feet up on a chair, lie flat onto the floor, just decompose? One of my patients was, it was really cute. I do a lot of emotional work with my patients. And this was a patient that she's very young and she's challenged with health. She has cancer. And she just started going back to work, and she was quite, I would say very concerned about going into work with the stress. And, when you have a situation where you're really having to make your job getting well, it's hard to imagine doing both, trying to really stay on top of getting well and working. So she had a little challenge there. But when she came in, I said, how are you doing? She says, well, surprisingly, I'm doing really great. And people are being so accommodating, and which is really important. Don't be afraid to let people know, even though you can look healthy and robust and, you know, be this picture of statuesque when you just don't feel that you have the energy. It's okay to say. And so they've been really accommodating to her. And I said, well, how are you doing with exercise and keeping your diet all together? She says, well, it's been kind of a challenge. She says, in fact, you know, since I'm trying to work less hours, I kind of have to forfeit a meal. And I said, oh, well, so you don't eat anything at all for that long period of time? And so what I suggested is when you don't have food for too long a period of time, sometimes your body can go also into high cortisol because you don't have enough calories. Now, I am a real big fan of intermittent fasting, but when you're working and, you know, you're using a lot of brain power, sometimes just having a protein shake in between before you have dinner really helps to stabilize your blood sugar. So I recommended that to her. I like intermittent fasting from dinner to lunchtime. I think that's awesome. The body can do that really, really well. But sometimes between that morning time and dinner, it's a lot harder. So again, I tell patients to really listen to their body. So anyway, one thing that I thought was really cute, and it was part of this epiphany thing. So let's have a look at what we got here. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this off because what I don't want is this to separate and the oil to be separated from this. So I'm going to have a little taste of it, but I don't want it quite that thick. So I'm going to keep adding just a little teeny bit of the almond, coconut milk here. And so I'll probably change the recipe because I just adding a couple tablespoons, but I've got about 4 to 6 tablespoons in here. So again, you can make it to the texture that you desire. I'm going to put a little lemon juice in there now. So since I didn't have the tamarindo, we're going to add the lemon to this. Okay. So we'll start with 2 tablespoons of just straight, not lemon, this is lime. Sorry about that. So we can correct it. We can add one at a time. Don't just go and dump it all in there because you might be too lemony for you. So like I said, if you're in a hurry, this is not the meal to prepare, but if you really want to surprise your family with something unusual, so many times people don't venture off because they get so stuck in their pattern. They have the same things all the time, and it makes for boring. So I was just talking to my friend Paul and Bill when they came over today, is that there's absolutely no reason to give up flavor when we're on any kind of restrictive program, whether it's a cancer protocol or diabetic protocol, heart, or keto style. He had mentioned it was kind of hard to stay in ketosis all the time. And so one of the things is what we want to pay attention to is why is our need to have to be in ketosis? So if we're not having a goal of either weight loss or treating cancer, you can go in and out of it like how I do. I'm not in ketosis all the time, but when I do my intermittent fasting, when I have longer periods from breakfast to lunch or lunch to dinner, then I manage to use fat for fuel, which makes it really, really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and have a taste of this and see how we go with it. Pretty lovely, but I'm going to add just a little teeny bit more of nam plau, just a little bit. And this is what's nice about it. When you sit with it for a second and you kind of breathe in, it's kind of like a good tequila. You know, the attack is at the end and then it mellows out. It's not like, and so you don't want that to happen. I'm just going to put a teaspoon of some more nam plau in there. And I am going to add that 2nd tablespoon of lime juice as well. So again, you know, don't be afraid to play around. Like I said, if it's all fabulous ingredients, if you add a little more, a little less, it doesn't matter. Okay. Okay, so that was that 2nd tablespoon of lime juice. So I think I got this at a pretty darn nice consistency that we can enjoy this, and let's have a look. Let's see if we corrected it just perfect. Pretty darn good. There's a little of this left over. I'm going to go ahead and add it. I was afraid that it was going to be too strong, but I'm going to add it into this, and I think that'll just pull it perfectly to where I want it to go. So like I said, you don't need to add all the ingredients at once, just kind of play with it a little bit. We cooked it in the beginning a little bit. It wasn't that I was trying to reduce it down or anything, but I just wanted to get that going before I put the almond butter in there. So if you put it in a little bit later, it doesn't matter. So don't worry about that. And also too, if you don't have any Serrano chilies, you can use a jalapeno. I used that last time and it was perfect. Okay. I think we got this just nice. Now, at this point, if you felt like you wanted it just a teeny bit sweeter, you could add just a little teeny bit of the coconut sugar. But we're trying to stay really ketogenic, so I'm not going to add it all. I've only added 1 tablespoon into the marinade, and I'll probably use a little bit of the flakes when I make the salad dressing, just so that we can balance out that salt to sweet. So I'm going to go ahead and set that aside. We're going to start this wonderful, beautiful vegetables. I love wok vegetables because they just are really nice and crisp. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and use walnut oil rather than any peanut oil that normally would be called for this recipe. You could use avocado oil just as easily. I'm going to put about 2 tablespoons. Got all these beautiful vegetables here. Set that there. So this is where I'm going to put the couple of these nice little, as soon as it gets warm, I'm going to put some Serrano chili in there. And again, Thai food, that's what it's all about. It's that kind of real subtle flavors of everything, but you can taste everything. There's always kind of that little hint of chili. So again, do it at how your taste buds like it. If you don't like a whole lot of chili, you don't need to put a whole lot here.
Leanna, another question.
Yep.
What does the chili peppers do for your immune system? I've been told different things at the center, and what exactly do they do?
Well, what's nice, so anything that is hot it will be astringent. And so a lot of times when patients have colds, it basically dries up the heat. But at the same time, like garlic and ginger, they're also antiseptic and very high level of vitamin C, especially peppers. So they're absolutely awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and throw some of these in here. Now usually with wok cooking, you have it relatively high. Where's my little? Maybe not that high. I'm going to go ahead and throw the green beans in there. I'm going to go ahead and I always forget a little something. I'm going to go ahead and put some garlic in there. I'm going to keep these, now I would say chop them up nicely. Now what I should have done was thrown them in there with the chili, but I'm going to slice these a little bit larger, just kind of so they're kind of julienne style as well. Okay, so that should do it. Just a few. I'm going to go ahead and add the asparagus. Now, again, this is the time-consuming part, is that you got to pretty much cut each one individually in a julienne strip. But again, it's so worth it because when you do this, it cooks beautifully al dente, and you don't have to worry that it's going to get too soggy because they're too thick and they're not cooking evenly. And honestly, honestly, to do julienne, it's very simple. You're just going to take the green bean, or you're going to take the asparagus and just make diagonal cuts all the way down. So don't get lazy at this. You'll be happy when you present it. It'll be really pretty, okay? I'm going to go ahead and throw the bell peppers in now. So it was 1.5 cups of green bean, 1.5 cup of asparagus, and 1 large bell pepper. Isn't that beautiful? I just love that red ingredient. So pretty. Can you guys smell it?
Oh God, it's so man. I'm dying here. Yeah, I can't wait.
Good, all right.
Got the juices going.
That's right. I like my guests to be nice and hungry. Good, good. I love it. I mean, that's the one thing, you know, I love people who love to eat. It's just so wonderful for cooks when they can see their guests light up and their flavor and so forth. I mean, I would say every cook is always looking for the response of the food. And again, see, that's where we really kind of, you know, give love. Part of what I do as my gift to my family, as my friends, is to cook and to share and to enjoy. And so Fridays are really great because now it kind of offers me an opportunity to have friends over every Friday. So if it's not Landy who is doing my filming for me, it's going to be guests that pop in, just happen to pop in at the right time. Right, Jill came over last time. So we'll let that go right there for a moment. Now while this is going, I'm going to go ahead and go back over to make the sauce. Now again, for the, I can really smell that chili there. For the sauce or the dressing actually, for the salad, I wanted to keep it really light and really into the Asian mindset and flair. And so we are also going to do that in, I'm going to do it in the blender. It'll probably get a little bit more blended than it did in the Cuisinart because there's not that many ingredients, so there's not that much density in there. So I've got my Vitamix out there, so we're going to use a lot of the similar ingredients. Now I'm going to go ahead and throw about a tablespoon of ginger in here. Now I've shredded it on a plane, so it's very, very fine. So I'm going to add it now. Just to kind of give it that wonderful aromatic flavor there. Okay, excellent. Make sure I got everything I need over here again. So again, this is kind of fun because it's almost the same ingredients, except we're not going to add the cumin and we're not going to add the coriander. So I'm going to go ahead and add a couple of chilies in there. So really this is just going to be basically one Serrano chili. And again, it's a salad dressing, so you don't want it too hot. I'm going to put 1 garlic in there. I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of lime juice. Beautiful. And then again, if these get a little dry, you can add a little chicken broth, but I think we're doing pretty good here. Perfect. Okay, let's add some lime juice. That's 2 tablespoons. I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of cilantro. This is fresh chopped cilantro. It's not going to have a whole lot of oil in it, which is kind of nice. For salad, most salad dressings have lots and lots of oil. I'm not going to add any lemongrass to this, but I am going to add some nam pla, which is the Thai fish sauce. I'm going to start with 1 tablespoon. I might play around and add a little tamari as well. I'm going to put some rice vinegar. Two tablespoons of that as well. I'm going to put 1 tablespoon of olive oil. That's it. Just 1 tablespoon. So we're not into low fat, but again, this is going to be more of a marinade than it is a salad dressing. Hey, my husband just got home. Okay.
Smells good.
Smells good, huh? Let's see how we're going with this. Nice. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and also add 2 tablespoons of non-flour to this. See, so it's kind of nice. You can just use the same ingredients for everything. Now, instead of adding sugar, more coconut sugar, I'm going to add coconut amino acids. So instead of soy sauce, I'll use the coconut amino acids. They're just a slightly, or it's a little bit sweeter than the tamari. So I thought, you know, one of the things that's always kind of fun, but I'm always paranoid to eat when I go to Thai restaurant, is the grilled onions on top, because I know they've probably tempered them somewhere. There's some gluten hiding in there. And so I thought, well, it would be kind of fun. I'm having friends over. I'd like it to be as beautiful as possible. So I thought I would try to make some oven-baked scallions, a little crispy on top. And actually, they turned out pretty darn good. And what I did was just the leftover shallots that I had. I cut them in nice little slices. I put some olive oil on them. I threw them in the oven. First I experimented a little bit, put them on broil, but I realized that the broil got them too black, too quick, too soon, so I had to throw a few of them away. So I turned it back to about a 500 degree, and I kept kind of stirring them around, but they got really crispy. And then I did that for probably about maybe 3 minutes or so, and then I turned the heat down to about 250 and just let them dry out beautifully. So they're not featured, but you will get to see what they look like, okay? Isn't that gorgeous? Look at that. Love it. I'm going to turn that off right now because we want it completely al dente. But what I am going to do, and I want to just check to see if, it's really nice because you got to give it a moment. Once you take a bite of it, you know, at first you may not pick up all the flavors, but you know, after a second, all of a sudden, as I said, it starts to open up in your mouth. So if it needs a little salt, this would be the time to put it in. But I think we hit it just right. Perfect. I'm going to add some toasted sesame seeds on here. So about 1 tablespoon. Just for fun. Isn't that gorgeous? It's going to be good, huh, guys?
Oh, I'm so hungry.
Yeah.
All right,
It really does good.
Excellent, excellent. That's what I like, a hungry crowd.
Here we are.
My favorite. Well, you know, my mom had 11 kids, so, you know, we were always very enthusiastic for meals. And I was kind of thinking, interesting today, you know, because my daughter, she's a chef now, and actually self-taught by me. But it was interesting because, you know, I always thought, gosh, is she ever going to learn how to cook? Because every time I'd invite her down to cook, oh, yeah, I'll be right down, Mom. But I'd never see her down here because it was either homework or on the cell phone or something. So I thought, oh my God, the one gift that I would love to pass on to my daughter, as my mother did to me, was cooking. And so I tell parents, don't lose hope, because if you're the chef, it almost happens by reverse osmosis. When I moved out of the house, I really didn't know how to cook, but I had a fabulous palate because my mother was such an incredible chef. Now, of course, when you have a palate, you can kind of distinguish. Like I could go to restaurants and pick out just the right herbs that are in it. But again, when I didn't have the need to, because just like my daughter didn't have the need when she lived here, was I did all the cooking, and you know, it was easy and fast, and I'd rather not fuss around with, you know, trying to, you know, come, not come, chop this way, chop that way. So really, I didn't do much cooking at home when I was growing up. But once I moved out on my own, there was lots of phone calls to Mom. What do you do? What ingredients do you put in there? And reverse osmosis, I began to become a great chef with just really, you know, getting the mindset of, one, I've been exposed to such great food, and also it's easy and fun. So my daughter also, you know, when she moved out and she started helping me do some catering for our patients that have cancer, because oftentimes they don't have the energy, they don't even have the ability to stand for very long. So she helped me out for a little while, and she said, "Well, this is really, really great to, to do this. Can I continue?" And I said, "Well, that would be great," because I already had a full-time job, but I was just kind of filling in for someone. So I told her I'd give her 3 months, and I taught her how to cook and everything, and now she's extraordinary cook, and it's so much fun because now I call her up for recipes, and I said, "Well," she'll say, "what did you put in that again?" And it's really a lot of fun. So you mothers out there, you be the example, and I guarantee if you teach your children the love and the appreciation for food, they develop a palate, and they will realize soon after they move out of their house that nobody's going to feed them but them. So let's get over to the salad dressing. Okay, we're going to go back over here. I'm going to grab the olive oil here. I put that in already. Okay. So let's go ahead and give this a whirl. You're going to hear noise again, so here it goes. Perfect. Where did my little bowl go? Oh, we'll use this one. So as you can see here, this isn't the normal salad dressing that you would make. It's really runny, and that's all I want. I just want this to just coat it just ever so slightly. I don't want a thick, something else to kind of take over the taste. So let's have a taste of this and see what we need to do. I'm going to add a little more salt. I know that. So we'll bring that over. Me and my million spoons. I'm a million spoons person. I said nobody can fill up a dishwasher as fast as I can. So again, you can kind of, you're trying to balance out the tart, the salt. So we are going to add just a little teeny bit of the coconut sugar. Just a tad, not much. Let's see what I did with it over here. So this is about, I would say, quarter of, well, let's just say a teaspoon, a little less than a teaspoon. Good. So it's really nice because it's got enough chili, but not too much that you're, because, mostly salads, you don't really have a whole lot of heat to them. They're cool, they're refreshing, but here we wanted to keep all of the flavors in the Asian style. So I'm going to just put a pinch of salt there, not much. Okay, give it another taste. Very nice. And also too is if it's a little bit too tangy, you can add just a tad of more oil. So kind of do it to the consistency that you like it. I kind of like it just like that. And you kind of wait a second, and then if you get any kind of attack to the back of the throat, it's just a little too pungent, a little too tart, then you would want to add just a little teeny bit of oil. I'm going to taste it again because after I was talking a little bit, I kind of felt a little hint of something back there. So we want to make sure it's absolutely perfect. So you kind of wait a second and kind of say, oh, there it is, a little bit of bite, and then it comes back down. So I'm going to leave it just like that. Okay. But again, to your palate, you will add how you enjoy. All right, so even though the salad itself is not featured in the ingredients, the salad dressing is. So let's put this meal together and let's have a try of it. These are my wonderful little scallions that I made in the oven, and they're awesome because they're crispy and nice. Really There's no gluten on there. I just, look how nice and crunchy they are. So that's great. So it's just like fried onions, but without the toxic oil. So I'm going to put that right there. Let's go ahead and take these greens here. Now what I've done is I have taken this carrot, and now this is honestly only 1 carrot, so this is 7 grams of carbohydrates. Now remember, this is going to be between 4 and 6 people, so it's not much glucose once you actually get it on your plate as far as the total carbohydrates. The green beans and the asparagus are very low carbohydrates. The bell pepper has a little bit more glucose than the other greens, but we're still really in a very, very low carbohydrate state. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of this. I'm not going to toss all the dressing because I just want to give you a little sample of that. I'm also going to put some these nice little bean sprouts. So again, just we're trying to keep it Asian and kind of fun. So again, just throwing a few in there. And some nice cucumbers. So both of these cucumbers and the carrot, I did it on the salad master. So this was the blade number, that one was blade number, I think 2, and this is blade number 5. So it's really nice because, again, our whole intent here is to create it as delicate as possible. So these are really nice. They're kind of like little cucumber chips. So I'm just going to go add a few in there because we're just making a little bigger than a one salad kind of thing, but let's have a little go of this. Okay, let's start with that. This is going to be my taster.
I think I will. The dying.
Good.
Do this.
All right. Excellent. So it's so much fun for me working at the clinic because I get to meet such extraordinary people under extraordinary circumstances often. But what's really beautiful is to develop relationships with my patients so that we have continuity in regards of them really understanding that we work together as a team. And oftentimes it sprouts into beautiful relationships as well. So with this, we're allowed to have friends that are patients. Okay, let's have a taste of this. So it's nice because it has just a little teeny bit. I'm going to make a plate for you, Paul.
Okay.
And I'm going to have you.
I can't wait.
Oh, good.
Look,
All right, you're ready to rock and roll. Awesome.
I'm pouncing.
Okay.
I'm pouncing, yes.
All right. So all I did was put these chicken onto the grill. And literally 4 minutes on each side approximately. You can kind of play around with it, making sure that it's not overcooked, okay? So what was that again? We'll start with that. Okay. Then I would put some nice little salad on there. And again, if you want to, you know, play around with the dressing with it, but let it sit there for a second. Let's put some little sauté sauce. So the sauté sauce does not have to be hot, okay? So once it's cooled down, it doesn't matter. We're gonna put a little bit on there as well. Nice little dollop. And it's these.
I can smell that too. That's
Yeah. So oh my gosh, it's so wonderful. Okay. Now I'm gonna put these green beans on here, and you're gonna be my taster and tell me what you think.
Hurry.
Ah!
So colorful too.
Isn't that beautiful?
The palette there.
It's like a piece of art.
Oh,
That's what it should be. All right, I'm going to put some of these nice little
That's what I've been waiting
crispies on
for.
there. So look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Wow. And so we've got a little bit of everything. You've got a little bit of raw, a lot of the chlorophyll in there with all of the greens. But Paul, you be my taster here.
Can I go for the chicken?
You can go for the chicken, exactly.
I didn't taste that. That's
okay.
better than I thought.
Oh, good.
Very tasty.
Oh, good.
And the peanuts?
Yeah. Almond.
You wouldn't know.
Good, excellent. Okay, let me give you a fork.
Fork, come on.
Yes, okay.
The fingers are going to get it.
Yes, we're primal here. We don't mind eating with our fingers.
You get that crunch. Wow. You're absolutely right. The crunch does a lot too.
Yeah.
You know, you would never know.
Just gives that little,
yeah. And so fresh, and it has a nice, you know, not overcooked at all. It's just perfect.
Good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Now the salad.
All right,
this is the real test.
Let's try
I'm
this.
a salad person.
Okay, good.
Okay.
And then of course we could always add more dressing to it, but I just did it nice and light.
Perfection. And it has a little tangy to it. I love that.
Isn't that nice? So
and now the chili.
Right.
Wow. It's like an explosion.
Exactly.
There you go.
But not too chili.
No, one more little bite here.
Oh, you can have that. That's going to be your plate. You guys play around with that.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. So he promises he's going to be my sous chef one of these episodes. So thank you so much for taking your time out of your precious day to spend time with me. in my kitchen, really putting this meal together with a lot of love for you. And just remember, share this with your friends. The more you reach out, become ambassador to health, the more we can raise the vibration of good health for the whole world at large. And if you want to get a message before we go live, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and you will get a little blip that we are going live. And have a great week. And let me leave you with this. Don't forget to recover. As I said, really listen to your body. Come home, take your shoes off, put your feet up for a few minutes before you get started cooking and going crazy. And you'll see how happy your body will be and give back to you. Have a wonderful weekend.